Welcome to another new episode of Syntax with your hosts, Mac
The
McKnight
sun doesn't come up at a reasonable hour anymore.
and Kermit Bollier.
There's got to be like ASCAP for alcoholics.
This is Syntax.
What's that?
Like cream? Is it
Yes. Yes. Is benzene? Is that one?
topical? Isn't it like hydrobenzene?
I don't
Is
know.
it like a benzo?
I'm way over my head on this topic. I got to be honest.
I'm not drug savvy.
Yeah. I don't even know if I'm drug competent.
Benzenate. What's benzenate? Benzenate. It's cough medicine.
What's the one, the pink one that everybody puts on when they like have like bug bites and shit? Calamine.
Calamine.
Yeah. Did you
the
have
do nothing
calamine?
lotion?
Yes.
Yeah,
But
what your mom used.
That's exactly it. Yep. That
Yep.
was the go-to in my house.
Yeah, and when you didn't have that, you like toothpaste. You ever do that?
No,
Yeah, my mom claims that toothpaste helps burns.
really.
Yeah. I mean, it's because of the mint. It makes it kind of cool. Which I guess if it's a really, really small burn might help, but the whole fact of putting something that's hard to wash off on a burn,
Yeah.
gritty.
Yeah. Seems a little counterproductive. So I guess that does bring me to something that I had noted last week when we were talking about some of our the ways that we view things was the perspective that you have based on the environment you were raised in.
Okay.
And I thought that was kind of interesting that like you could go, well, it's always been that way because it reminds me of my childhood, and here we are again having the same discussion, with the random calamine lotions. So I think as far as going back to the diversion between taking your fitness to a healthy spot versus taking your fitness to a, I guess, less healthy, for lack of a better way to put it. Is that something that was a diversion from your like childhood, or is that just kind of like the natural progression that you veered away from and you kind of decided to come back to it on your own?
Okay. I hear what you're saying. While you were saying that, because both of us have minds that run at double the speed of our mouths, which is really interesting, actually. But I was thinking about Jack LaLanne, and I was thinking about what's that goofy guy with the curly hair, Deal a Meal, and all that stuff. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Curly hair.
Yeah. Richard Simmons.
The fitness dude, the
Yeah.
jazzercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it's probably not jazzercise. I think that was
Yeah,
like
well,
a Mickey Mouse Club thing. But what's
No, well,
dancing, sweating to the oldies? That's what it was.
The oldies,
Sweating to
right?
the oldies.
So if
Yep.
we're doing sweating, you know what? I think we revive that, and we do like sweating to Tupac.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do listen to a lot of hip hop when I'm in the gym. I don't know why. It just seems to be the natural
Well, it's rhythm.
motivator. Yeah. I mean, it
It's
just
rhythm.
kind of keeps your time, keeps your pace. And I guess,
Unless you're angry, then it's
yeah,
got to
but
be like metal.
I'm just
death
as
metal.
angry. I'm just as angry listening to death metal as I am listening to Tupac or, techno house music. So
Yeah,
I guess I don't really discriminate.
I think you're stumbling on something that I need to try. Country, because that will definitely piss me off when I'm working out.
You can
I
get
put
back to
some-
me on how that goes. I'm gonna be a hard pass on that experiment.
I throw some, was it Brooks and Dunn on? I guarantee you, I will be so pissed in 3.5 seconds. I'll be benching like 500 pounds
All right.
if that's gonna make it go away.
Yeah. Does that do it? Or does it just break your spirit and then all you're doing is like crying in your beers or
Well, and this is Spirit, the horse name, or
plot twist.
Ooh.
I did not see Spirit being the horse in this discussion. I thought we were still.
Oh, you said tear in your beer.
No, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah.
Little Spirit here. By the way, your background has changed a little bit. Just letting you know.
It has?
Yeah.
What happened?
You got screwdrivers front and center, and you used to have a 3D printer there.
Oh yeah, I moved
And
it.
you got shelves now too, and your
I do
camera
have
angle
shelves.
changed.
Oh, I can fix that.
No, you don't have to change any of that. Now I can just barely see, I think, Mr. Pink.
I have a button.
No, Mr. White.
Oh,
Nope, that's just you.
that's the wrong button.
It's like you from 5 years ago too, by the way.
Which
Nah,
is
I'm
really
gonna do
weird
it.
because that's definitively from like 4 weeks ago.
Is it?
Yeah.
Man, winter does play a part on you, huh?
You have no idea.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're stumbling into a good direction here, though. Before I totally side railed and sideswiped you like a deer into an Audi. So I did it. Yay.
that's good.
Yeah, that'll get people laughing right there. If that is like, other things, but anyways, so yeah, past, present, future. I guess we neither one of us has really talked much about our childhood, or I guess not so much childhood, because when you're a kid, fitness just comes natural. I mean, it's just unless you're completely raised in an unfit household, or a stagnant household, or I don't even know how to properly say it without possibly being offensive, but someplace where nobody does anything. I think most kids tend to want to be active. Do you agree with that?
I do, and I mean, my kids never stop moving. They literally, from the second they get up in the morning till they finally pass out at night, they are constantly bouncing around.
Yeah.
I got home late from work today, and when I came in the door, they're still dancing around the house. They've been nonstop, and I'm sure they've been nonstop all day.
Well, they were dancing because you were home. They were happy.
I think I was the thing they passed on the way to whatever they're actually dancing to. I think it was ice cream. Again, with this topic, I swear to God, ice cream is the quintessential
that ice cream.
center of you. It is the center of my
You
kids'
saw
world.
You saw my gallon of ice cream picture.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a
I was
baller.
not joking about how much ice cream they gave me.
No, it was a baller. It was definitely a baller move. I'm glad there's photo evidence of that.
So go ahead.
No, I think it is to some extent. But I also think just kids in general, they just want to go. Like they're always like, I try not to leave the door open because I'm convinced mine will just sneak out and go run laps around the house because they just need to move. It's the craziest thing.
So I'm going to let a theory fly here. And they always say good health brings longer life, and it kind of like, I don't know, it builds upon itself. So basically, once you start building start building some foundational good lifestyle changes and doing some good things, it's kind of like walking downstairs versus walking upstairs.
Sure.
And it gets easier over time. I mean, and I'll agree with that. I think the first step is the hardest. That first, when you're walking a level ground on your life, and then you got to take a step up. That's the hardest step. So what I'm kind of getting towards is how do we get ourselves in a mentality where we're more, we're adults obviously, but how do we get to the mentality where we want to be like kids? Kids inherently want to be active. What's different?
Inhibition. Kids really, I think we are burdened with so many things between the perceptions of our environment, the responsibilities, and just the burden that we carry on a daily basis really takes away from that ability to be so free and be able to just be like just weird and wild. And it's not all adults, it's not always across the board, and it's not all the time. It's just that by the time you finally get to the point where you could stop and consider something that would be that kind of, I say this as I'm reading a work email. By the time you finally get to that point, most of the time you don't have the energy.
Right. It's funny you say that, the inhibition thing, because there's two major reasons why I don't run on roads. One of them is fear of getting run over like I'm playing Frogger, which is sensible. And two is I don't like people watching me run. I don't know what specifically it is, because I don't run like a madman or anything like that. I might run mad once in a while, but not like a madman. And that's kind of a majority reason, those two things, as to why I prefer to run trails and things like that. But you're right. It's there's that, you know. But couldn't you also say that for that same reason, people would want to be active so that they have less eyes on them if they, have a look or have a persona of being lazy? I mean, people don't want to be viewed as lazy, I don't think.
But does it even resonate? So let's go back. You and I both grew up in the same era, right? The personal computer came about, then the personal gaming consoles really started to take off, and most kids our age grew up playing video games of one way or another, and it's a very stagnant, sedentary type thing. Now, mind you, we played a lot of sports, and we played. My parents were never big proponents of living in front of the console, or the PC, the Commodore 64, state of the art. Um,
Hey, hate to barge in, but I want to go ahead and remind you to subscribe to the Syntax Podcast. If you enjoy our content and like knowing what we're thinking about, if you hit subscribe, you'll be the first to know when we drop new content. On top of that, we're now available on Spotify, Google, and Alexa. Hey, Alexa, play the Syntax Podcast.
so that time was limited as far as our access to it. So I think at that point there was a healthy balance. But as you get older, and those things just become more, it's just something you become more interested in, right? It's the flashy, shiny thing. I know for me personally, because I was big into that growing up, I didn't care as much about my physical appearances.
So I'll agree with all that. You know, Commodore 64, Nintendo, Genesis, Sega stuff, and all that stuff come up. But so two things I was thinking about while you were talking. One is, when I was a kid, those are things you did in the wintertime when it got dark out at 6:30, and in the summertime, at nighttime. I can remember being with cousins, and everybody in the house going to bed, and then kind of sneaking down and playing video games until early in the morning, or even through the whole night. I can even, I got an odd memory, that, but I can even remember specific games, and playing them for for the competition, or for the to actually beat the game. It was actually to do it almost competitively. So there was that little spark of competitiveness in that gaming. But on top of all that, we still spent a lot of time outdoors. Especially in the summertime, especially during the day. I don't remember itching to get home and play video games when I go home from school or anything like that. You know, maybe, and then I think it's a little bit different now.
Yeah, I agree. And we were raised where the computers and the video games were a new thing that was coming about as we were developing, right? So I mean, looking now, I didn't have my first cell phone until I was, I don't know, 18, 19, something like that. And it was a car phone. Literally, it went in my car. Um, and now every 9-year-old has one. Same thing with growing up. We had computers. Not everybody had a computer in their house. I mean,
Yeah,
we
that's a big
had,
thing.
yeah, that was not normal at the time. We had, I think our first computer was a Tandy. And then we got the Commodore, and I remember playing flight simulators on
Mm.
it. And the, you developed a real patience, and I think maybe that's as much of it, is now we have immediate, and you put a console on and you're playing, it's immediate. Everything took forever, and you could sit there and wait for it to get around to doing the thing, or you can go outside and hang out with your friends, right? So it was always one of those things that became um, just normal. You're like, yeah, I'll play whatever, I'll play computer later, or I'll play this game. Hey guys, come out, we'll play this. And you did that for an hour or two, and then everybody went back outside and did whatever they were doing. And I don't think it's so much the case now. And I think you have to make an active investment in getting your kids out of that mode.
I also think things have been inverted. Like when I was a kid, I remember there was a time period in my life where I had a basketball hoop that was adjustable. Like I had one of the first, no, first, but it was the first one that I knew of where you could adjust the hoop from like, 5 feet all the way up to like 10 feet,
Was it just a milk crate on a step ladder that you moved up and down?
No. But you remember you had to use a broomstick to adjust it.
Nice.
It probably came with a pole at one point in time, but that thing went missing probably pretty quick. I do remember using a broomstick to adjust it though, and you pushed up one way to make it go up, and you pushed up another way to make it come back down. I think it was the front and the back or something. But what I was gonna say is, I remember like like we were just saying about not everybody had video games. So like today, it's real popular to go out there and like my son, he's 10. He'll come home and he will play Roblox or Minecraft or Rocket League with kids he knows physically, either here or in Augusta, because some of the as he gets a little bit older, some kids move and things like that, which is great that they can stay in touch. That never would have happened when I was a kid. I remember having friends that moved away like to the next town over, and I never seen them again.
Yeah,
that was it.
it.
They're gone.
You're like, yeah,
Oh crap! They're
I had
5
those
miles
friends
away. I'm
once.
never
Yeah,
gonna see that
exactly.
kid again. He's gone. He's in another country. Have fun.
Yep.
Yeah, it was different, But the other side of that whole thing is, I also remember. Okay, and tell me if you remember this too. Is the kids, like the leeway into video games for some of those kids, or for kids in that age group, were the sport games. It was really weird because if you weren't playing a sport, then you were interested in playing the sport game, because it almost seemed like sports, at least professionally, everybody wanted to be a professional sports player, and or be a play as a professional in a sport. And because of that, they all wanted to play, and it still happens today. I mean, you got all your high end, high tech, like NFL and NBL, MLB, sorry, video games. And it just, I don't know if it's still the same way with kids. I know it's not with my kid, but back then, even though, I mean, we're talking like Tecmo Bowl and things like that, but everybody really wanted to play those sports games when they couldn't play the actual game. But playing that game wasn't it was it was pacification of actually being able to play that real sport during the summertime or something like that. It wasn't, hey, this is what I like to do, and oh, that's cool that people actually physically do that. It was I'm going to do this because I really like playing sports. It's not it was because unavailability more than it was because of it's what I like to do.
It's a really interesting perspective, because thinking back now and looking at it this way, it almost seems like the games we were playing were almost extensions of the things that we wanted to do that we didn't have access to. And I remember one of my all-time favorite games was on Nintendo. They had this Olympics game where you had the pad on the mat on the floor, and you would run and do turtles, and you would do all these Olympic competitions.
It's world-class track meet.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was world-class track meet, and that was a power pad.
Yep.
And it used to rank your speed as turtle, rabbit, or cheetah.
Yep. 100%. That's,
and we all used to cheat on that thing and start tap dancing.
Yep.
And don't act like you didn't do it either.
Nope,
and then
you get
the
down,
long jump,
you get down and use your hands, because my hands were way faster than my feet.
Yeah, my hands wasn't.
Yep.
But and then when you do the long jump, you jump off the mat and then jump back on the mat.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. For all the kids listening, that is hardcore game hacking back in the mid to late 80s.
And then Excite Bike.
Hacking on that game.
There was that hack, that bike that I know that game was fantastic. I remember playing it forever. And of course, I mean, you had your staples, right? You had your Marios and your Duck Hunts. And then you got closer into the more adventure type things, the Contras and the Mortal Kombats, and so that became
later.
more.
That was later.
Right. That became more like fantasy role playing. Now, like, my kids could care less about sports games.
Yeah.
But they're all about playing sports. And same thing with like my son's obsessed with first person shooters. He's always been. Could not care less about sports games, but he played baseball, he played hockey, he played soccer, he played, track and field. Literally, he played all the sports. He did all the things. couldn't care less about a sports game.
So okay, so here's another thing, and I don't want to get too deep into this video game thing because, I mean, we could in different time and it definitely be a good topic to talk about. But I wonder if those types of games, those first person shooter type of games, were available back then, if they would have been as popular versus the games that were available back then, or is it like a age thing? Because we were just talking about, or I was just talking about specifically how the kids that used to like to play those sports games, on the Nintendo or Sega, whatever, were the same ones that played the sports during the summer and the fall and the spring. Obviously, the kids that are playing first person shooters aren't out there. Bunch of bad things to say that we could say about on that type of topic right there, but they're not. It's different. You know what I mean? They're not doing it. It's not one to one.
But was it right? How many times as a kid did you go out and play Army with your buddies, right?
Yeah.
And I know this is really dated, but Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your first person shooter. That's the go-to when you think
the first one I ever played.
Exactly, and that was the one.
We made a LAN with coax cable.
Yep.
I forget what that was called.
LAN parties.
No, I forget what the coax cable LAN was.
Oh.
It wasn't 10 base T. It was
that
was something else.
Again, a different time. You can't go play Army now. It doesn't go well, right?
Now you get in trouble.
Right, exactly. So it's not
tased.
And I get the world changes and things shift, but we have gotten way, way off topic, and I guess we could do this topic for 1,000 hours. But what I really wanted to get at when we started this was when you were growing up, like you had your staple meals, right? And you had your staple schedule. Like for us, it was be home before the streetlights come on. Like that was a thing. And essentially we get up let's say Saturday morning, right? Because school was pretty consistent. You get up, you eat your breakfast, get ready, and then you go to school. You'd have your regular school activities, you'd have your regular gym classes and your playground time, and that was pretty standard. I mean, watch any 80s movie with a school in it, that was pretty consistent. But like Saturday morning, you get up, you watch cartoons, get up early, watch cartoons, eat breakfast. I don't think they have
cartoons anymore on Saturdays.
I know that's practically criminal. You get up early, watch cartoons, power watch cartoons, because as soon as you were done breakfast, you might be able to cram another one in, but that was it. It was out the door. Like mom was seriously like, get out of the house, go play outside, back before the lights are on, stop by for lunch, and then we were off.
I don't remember lunches. I really don't. I don't remember having lunch. And I remember cereal for breakfast. I mean, that was kind of you're absolutely right, staple cereal. That's what you had, cereal and orange juice or something. And getting outside, as you were saying that, I'm thinking to myself, all right, there were times where maybe your friends weren't around because they were gone or something, or there again, there's a whole nother topic. I'm really gonna get off this real quick, but you couldn't call your friend on a cell phone.
No.
Could you imagine?
No.
I remember, and I was shy. And, I'm still pretty, kind of a shy guy, unless, I have to be differently, because we all have to adult every once in a while. But I remember having to call friends' houses and hoping to hell and back that they would answer, and not their older sister or not their parent that seems kind of angry all the time, and not this, that, and the other thing. But that was the only way you were going to get a hold of your friend. You weren't going to text message them. There was no email, there was no cell phone, there was nothing. It was that. And you know what, I would often, I guess this gets back into the whole thing about exercise, I would often prefer to ride my bike or walk to that friend's house, because I know that when they see me at the door, if he was home, he was coming to the door. It wasn't going to be mom, dad, or the sister, because they were going to say, so-and-so's at the door, go get the door. It was that thing. And it wasn't caller ID. I mean, caller ID started coming out, it's like call waiting and those types of things. But again, it's like the video games. Not everybody had it. So yeah, I think getting back into this whole thing where, getting into the mentality of being like a kid and doing that exercise, when you're a kid, things, life is quote unquote easier. When you become an adult, you have to deal with a lot more things, a lot more stress and things like that. But you take a lot of luxuries too. Like if I want to go get a cheeseburger, I can jump in a car and drive someplace and buy a cheeseburger. When you're a kid, It's not happening.
No.
I mean, for one, you're not just going to get a random cheeseburger. And for two, if you want to get someplace, you're going to ride a bike, you're going to walk, you're going to run. And maybe people need to consider doing that, like making it a little bit more difficult for yourself to do the things you want to do.
Yeah. And it actually takes you to another subsect of that, where as a kid, your focus was really on, like, you were responsible for you. That was it. That was your responsibility. And as you become older, you become responsible for yourself and in different ways, but you then become responsible for your family, and then for your responsibilities at work and responsibilities to your home. And you become responsible for all these things. And I think while you have, let's say you have 100% availability for being responsible, as you continue to shift those percentages to other things, you shift them away from being responsible to yourself. And that's the point when you really start to just be like,
Become alcoholic.
yes. Or you fall into the, I don't have time. Right. And
Right.
it stops being important. Because as a kid, your sole focus was, and it sounds selfish, but I mean, that's literally your whole job is get up, find cartoons, not be hungry, go play with your friends, have as much fun as humanly possible, be home before you get in trouble for being late. Like that's what I remember from my childhood, was that responsibility. And that seems minuscule. And as a kid, I felt like it was such a burden. Like, I got to get up early enough so I can watch enough cartoons so that I can eat enough breakfast so that I can get out the door so I can go play as much as humanly possible. And we would press that light thing. The street lights would be coming on as we were pulling in the yard, and it was some sketchy moments a few times. But how much of that time is available now that you are taking care of you? You are being responsible for yourself and to yourself.
Two things. One, I just realized how white your chair is. It's actually whiter than the rest of the room. And I just realized that their logo looks just like the Tesla logo.
Nice.
So you're in the Tesla chair. Two, I just, I don't know if everybody realizes this, but kids work on a different clock. When you're, I don't know, 20, 25 and younger, time moves slower. The older you get, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours goes by, I would dare say 3 times, 4 times faster than when you're 8, 10, 13, 15. And I think that plays into a little bit of what you were just saying about, what a day looks like and what your goals are in a day, because, your primary goal is there's nothing going on. I need to do something. I need to do something. I need to do something. When you're adult, your primary goal is I have so much to do. I need to get this stuff done, So I think there's probably a lot of time wasted as an adult, trying to figure out how they're going to get, or how they are going to get things done versus actually doing the things they need to get done. And that comes down to time management.
It does. And then it also comes down to setting priorities and reshifting those percentages of your available time for how you're going to take your responsibilities, because it's easy to shift the responsibility off of self-maintenance while you're shifting it onto other things. It's an easy sacrifice that people make on a daily basis. I have to do this, so I'm going to eat lunch while I'm driving to wherever I need to be, or I'm going to watch this movie that I've really been interested in. Nah, I'll watch it a different day. I need to get this other thing done, or this other thing comes up, and there's always the other thing. And it's easy for us to take those personal priorities and shift them,
Right.
and making that percentage go back in your favor, not for the sake of being selfish, but for the sake of self-preservation.
Right. So this is a little difficult, but as you being somebody that from your business position employs people, and for me from a managerial or more of a managerial position, I think what you basically need to do is realize that you need to set schedule and they don't need to be regiment scheduled. Well, to some extent, I guess they do, but you have to schedule time for yourself, I guess, and you have to hold hard on those lines. Obviously, anything that doesn't bend will break, but I think people talk about all the time, me time or personal time or wellness time and things like that. But I don't think people actually know what that actually means. And I don't think that people actually know how to actually schedule that for themselves, because wellness time could be 15 minutes every 2 or 3 hours, even while you're at work. And I don't mean spending time in the bathroom. It could be leaning back, closing your eyes, stretching, taking a walk around the office. Okay, so I've mentioned this to you before, and I'll just tie this in. If we had a shower at work at lunchtime, I would take a run. I would love, love, love to have the ability to do a 15-minute run at lunch, come back, rinse off, and go back to work. Say you come to work at like 70%, and then you work your way up to 90, 95%, of your abilities, and then basically after lunchtime, you start to work your way down because you're heading towards the back part of the day. I can tell you right now, and I don't know if this is for everybody, but me personally, if I had a period of time, even a short period of time, where I was able to exercise, but then again feel refreshed after I was done doing that and get back to work, it would almost be like resetting the day.
I feel like every topic somehow comes back to some tough mountain reference, because it is 100% like shotgunning a beer halfway through that race. Without question, I can tell you the exact moment where you get to the shotgun station and you crack a beer and you're like, I cannot believe this is a good idea. And 10 seconds later, you feel like you're standing at the starting line, wound for sound, ready to go again. And I 100% get what you're saying. I absolutely agree that there are certain things that you can do that just reset your day. And for some people, it's that, like, some people can take a 15-minute nap and be rock stars. If I try to take a 15-minute nap, it'll just be me sitting still for 15 minutes wishing I was doing something else. It just doesn't, but I get it. Taking a run would be, yeah, that'd be a great breakaway, right?
Yep.
And being able to have the means to recover from that, so that you've still got meetings, you still got, interactions with people the rest of the day, and that's
Right.
not beneficial to anybody else. So I know I'm gonna say a thing that people are gonna be like, "You're out of your effing mind," but it is a fact. So making time in the middle of the day and having access to a shower wasn't something that was viable, or shotgunning a beer in the middle of the day, also probably not the best business model. So I had to figure out, like, when do I make time for me? And was it, at the end of the day, I come home, try to get it squeezed in, didn't feel viable. And I tried, obviously, where I'll work out in the afternoon, or I'll work out at night when I get home, or I'll wait till everybody else goes to bed, or it didn't work for me. Now, for other people, that might be the game changer. Like, yeah, I'll just do that instead of the half hour I watch TV at night. I think I'll go do yoga. For me, the only way it was palatable was to start my day. And I remember day one when I was like, yeah, I'm just going to get up early. And we had talked about this a while back about, just start a little bit earlier and make time, and start a little bit earlier and make time. I start irrationally early to make the amount of time necessary, because it's not even just about getting in the workout. It's about getting in the prep time for everything else to get through the day. And I was making time to get through the workout, but not enough to prep for the rest of my day. So even though I was getting my workout in, I wasn't getting my, like, ready for the day put in. So I'm to the point now where, I mean, I get up at 3:30 in the morning. It's an unreasonable hour, but it works.
I mean, I'm not you, and I don't know you internally, but I can tell you from my experience and from working with you directly that you may think that's working for you, but I can tell you that you're not superhuman. And though you might start at 3:30, once you loop back around and you're doing 6, 7, 8 hours into a day, you're hitting, there's going to be walls to be hit. you still need something to break up that day. You can't do it all at once. You hear that?
No.
Oh, okay. It's the Robo Kitty litter thingy. I was like, what
Oh,
is that noise?
gotcha.
I
missed
hear it.
that.
Yeah.
I missed that.
So yeah, so I not to bust your bubble or anything like that, but if you're getting up at 3:30, and you're exercising, you're getting everything done, you're doing your morning routine, we'll say, and you're by 6 o'clock you're doing the rest of the things that your family needs you to do, and then heading out the door to work after that. You got to think of where you're going to be 8 hours from there. You're going to be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay. Now, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you've had 8 hours of being awake. And that 8 hours has been inclusive to some you time in the very beginning of it. But we'll say 6 hours of that time has been for other people or work. And without anything to break that up or, time for you specifically, I think you're running too long. I do. And you mentioned real quick about the 15-minute power nap. And I agree. There's no way I could do a 15-minute power nap. It made me think of something. Have you ever, as an adult, tried to not think about anything for a period of time? I mean, literally try to do it to the extent where you stop thinking about the fact that you need to stop thinking about anything. It's kind of an enigma to be able to, I think you can visualize. I can tell by your facial expression what you know what I'm talking about.
I do. I
But it's
remember
difficult.
thinking, I'm like, I could meditate.
Yeah,
Sure, I could.
it's difficult, and you almost feel like if I get this done the way I want to do it, I'm gonna become vegetative. I'm not going to be functioning as a human if I can actually pull this off. But you try to do it anyways. You get right on the verge of it. You know what I'm talking about. You've done it, haven't you?
I distinctly remember trying to meditate, thinking I'm like, I got this, and sitting there, and I'm like, I'll set the whole thing dark, close my eyes, sit.
This isn't working.
This is not working. My mind is
How long have I been doing
1,000
this?
miles an hour.
How long have I been
And
doing this? I'm almost done, right?
I am going. Yeah, I know. Am I there? Did I make it? Did I miss
Wait
it?
a second. I'm just thinking about this. I
Am
guess
doing it the right way.
thinking.
Was I supposed to think about thinking or not think about thinking?
Oh man, I was thinking about that.
Yeah. So, okay. So first off, to your point, I was already up that number of hours anyway. I have the advantage of having insomnia, so
it's not wake hours. It's not just wake hours. It's what you're doing during those wake hours.
No, I agree. Yeah, but what I was doing during those hours was being useless. So do I run thin? I am quite sure. There are definitive days where I know that if I don't take a recovery day and I don't take a couple extra hours, and even if I'm just laying in bed staring at the ceiling, if I don't do that, I will crash. I 100% understand that. I'm not superhuman. I'm mediocre human at best. I cannot pretend to sit and tell anybody, no, you can do this every day. You cannot do this every day. What I'm getting at for the sole purpose of that discussion was I decided at some point in time it was time to shift that percentage and to accomplish that in a way that was meaningful enough to me that I felt like I was achieving what I was looking for. It meant getting up at an unreasonable hour, but it is a functional balance that I've made peace with.
Time out. Why are you calling it unreasonable then? Unless you deep down inside really feel it's unreasonable, why are you calling it unreasonable?
Because no human should be up at 3:30 in the morning.
Okay.
That's all.
All right.
But that's a symptom of perception of time. So I perceive time for most humans is something like where morning starts at like 6 or 7. I know that there are people like 7, you can F right off. It starts at 9. And there's other people who are very much like, yeah, this is when normal people get up. I know as I remember my grandparents, as they continue to get older, they would get up earlier and earlier and earlier. I think,
but they also go to bed at 3. It depends. No, I know what you're saying too.
Yeah.
My grandmother, 103. And I haven't been around her for years. It's because she decided to take her butt and drag it to Florida. But I recall, and I think this is a known medical thing, where once you start getting older and your body doesn't really do, rest usually repairs your body overnight. That's part of the primary function,
Sure.
whether it be your mind dreaming, those types of things, or physically your body being still. And, I think when you get to a certain age, your body starts, your cells stop replicating, they stop repairing themselves, things like that slow down. So genetically, you need less sleep because your body doesn't need to do the repairs it normally does. So once you hit 100, or way before that actually, but once you hit those ages, I mean, if I had a conversation right now, I would be surprised if she slept 2 to 3 hours a night. And it's probably not really sleeping. It's just there's nothing to do for her, so that's what she does.
Right.
I'm guessing. um and and that actually plays into babies and kids and humans in general. I mean, think about the sleep patterns of a baby, where a baby could be sleeping easily 16 hours a day, between naps and overnights and things like that and other restful breaks. And then as you get older, toddlers, there's always those nap periods until they get a little bit older than that, and then there's no naps, but they go to bed a little earlier, they wake up, unfortunately sometimes too early, so you make adjustments and whatnot. And then think of it when the pubescent years, when you don't want to get out of bed till 11 o'clock in the morning as a teenager, a 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old. Those, that's time period in life, at least for me, and I think for most people, where it's like, oh, it's 8 o'clock, I really do not want to get out of bed. It's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, okay, I get up, it's nice and warm out, other people are awake, I can go have fun now. And then as you scale into adulthood, you basically get forced into having to get up, to work or do family things and whatnot. Anybody gets accustomed to that, and then you start aging really quickly because your body doesn't have time to repair itself.
Yeah, it's breaking down faster than it's
Yeah.
repairing.
Yeah.
So I guess it really, I say an unreasonable hour because it is in perspective to all the other hours as I've known them for the majority of my youth / adult life, where that would be an unheard of notion.
Yeah.
So I guess that's really, otherwise I don't mind it. I mean, my
Yeah.
body's, I'm awake anyway, so it's, the hell else am
Yeah.
I gonna do?
I have times where I wake up at, so this is again the crappiness of adulthood. I have times where I wake up at 3:30, 4:30 in the morning, whether to use the restroom or for just wake up. And I'm more awake than when I actually need to get up at 5:45. And when I
Yep.
go to get up at 5:45, I'm like, should I have just gotten up at 3:30, 4:30 in the morning? And if I had, what would I feel like at 8 o'clock at night? I don't know. So you don't do it, or I don't do it. But there's a very good chance that I would probably feel the exact same way. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. And it's one of those things too. It's like I've said earlier, the sun doesn't come up at a reasonable hour anymore. I mean, that's legitimately used to be I could, by the time I get into the gym, get through my workout, I could get outside on the road and the sun was coming up, and it didn't really change my actual sleep wake schedule by that much. If I tried that now, I wouldn't be getting to work till like 9 o'clock. It's just maybe later. I mean, it doesn't come up early enough to even get anywhere near that schedule.
You're about to hate the season coming up.
I know. I don't like this. I do not like this at all. But I don't pretend, and that's why my training program changes. My everything changes as it goes with the seasons, because I have to adjust what I'm working on to accommodate what makes sense. I still have to exist in the real world, and if I go run at 5 o'clock in the morning in the fall / winter, I'm going to die. That's just how that ends. It's too cold, it's too dark, and
There's too many deer.
there are a lot of deer. So
we
I
had two
make
in the
sure,
backyard this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they looked in the driveway and headed the other direction. No howdy.
No, I make sure I don't ever wear any like logoed hoodies or any of that type of thing when I'm running, because you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Safety
Olympic
first.
medals, things like that.
Yep. Safety
Anything with
first.
rings.
Definitely rings.
Yeah, anything with linking rings. Well, I think we definitely we can almost call this a retrospective look at childhood, and I guess we touched on exercise to a certain extent on here. We touched on technology. We touched on a lot of things.
None of them were the things we were supposed to be trying to focus on. So If we can say anything about what we produce, it's consistently inconsistent.
Well, well, I was going to tell you that this was more pleasurable to have this chat like this versus trying to stay on a topic, because no matter what we do, we're going to wind up off topic. And I think the more we force ourselves to steer back onto a topic, I think the more work it becomes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, even on here, we could have totally gone off in a, here's the thing. We can make all these episodes we want. And surprisingly enough, there are people that are going to listen to them no matter which way and what topic we go to. So I think we need to let ourselves ride out into different topics, and some people are going to go, I don't want to listen to this. And that's fine. They catch the next one. And then there are other times where people are going to be like, oh, wow, this is really off. And, again, and I guess speaking to the public at large, feedback is awesome. What do people want to hear? The perspectives of 240+ year olds in this day and age, that are, relatively active, that have family lives, that have kids, that work, jobs, and I think are relatively intelligent. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to chat about, and that's what these are. These are chats between you and I that people are kind of eavesdropping on.
Yeah, there's something very voyeuristic about it. So I guess two things I'll wrap up with, and you're right. Maybe trying to stay on topic is a death sentence because it's just not how we're wired.
I'd fall asleep.
Yeah, that's fair. So the first thing is, so this is the first episode that we've released since we officially went, let's say, public. We actually decided to tell people that we were available for them to eavesdrop on, and the feedback's been really good, which is great. But more importantly, I'm just glad people are listening and not calling me and telling me to, go jump off a bridge somewhere. I'm glad
that means we haven't made it. That's
correct.
That's you've read. If you've done any reading about this, I know you probably have. Is you have not made it until people basically are telling you, hey, you can bleep that out. People will just wonder what I said.
That's
and it will probably be good. Yeah. You have no idea what you're talking about. You need to stop making these. No one's listening to you. You completely suck. Once we start getting that, that's when hey, we got a hater. That means there's somebody that basically is listening, even though they don't want to listen to it because they want to not like it, but they're listening to it anyways.
Yeah.
That's when you've made it.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well,
all right.
I'm glad this was a little diversion from the seriousness of our previous discussions, which I think are vitally important. But I also agree that maybe we should take a more laxed approach to staying on topic.
We don't have to wing it. We do not have to wing it. We have topics, but we in the rotary of life, we need to not necessarily always take the first right-hand turn.
That's it. That's your. That's the worst.
I could. You know what? Why don't we make it more funny?
Advice ever. It's that's your exit.
No, you're gonna use it somewhere anyways. But if you want to make it more funny, you could just say, in the rotary of life, don't take the left turn.
All right, good enough.
You'll never. Okay. I got one. Here we go. All right, mine's working here. In the rotary of life, if you always make the left turn, nothing will ever change. Boom! If I had a mic, I'd drop it.
You do have a mic.
I do have a mic. I can't drop it.
Please don't drop it.
Hold on.
Nice. Yeah. Well,
I gotta go. You gotta go. We gotta go. But we'll do this again soon. I want to talk about my trials and tribulations of home maintenance and upgrading soon.
Oh man, this will be a good one. Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely we'll do a video on that one, and if you upload, you don't. If you do, you do. And if you do in the future, that's great too. But I'll have pictures to share when I do that one, just because it's been fun. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about life with a new puppy over here. I want to talk about holidays coming up, and I guess this is kind of a precursor to things that people can expect from us, and I expect you to do the same that I'm doing right now. I want to talk a little bit about my space down here that I'm actually in, my builded basement type of thing, and some things I have going on here. I'm gonna get back into doing some of my YouTube videos. I also want to talk about work in general without being too exacting or causing any ruffles. And again, the trials and tribulations of trying to find employees. I think that's really important. I think we need to get a message out there to anybody that's listening, as to how important it is to, to instill to other people, that we're going to be up one of them creeks without any of those paddles if people don't really start to get down and get back to work. It's great to take a break, and it's great to try to better yourself and whatnot, but damn, when you can't even go through McDonald's drive-through because they close at 6:30, there's a
Yeah.
problem. When you
Yeah.
try to go to Subway at lunchtime today, and Subway's closed, gone. That's weird. It's odd right now. This is the weirdest time of my whole life.
It is a weird time to be alive.
So,
Yep.
what do you got? What do you want to talk about here in the next couple of weeks?
Oh man, I can, the list is long, and I don't even know if I say couple weeks, because originally my thoughts were to start off with like the entirety of social media crashed in the past week, and it's barely been a blip on the radar.
Oh yeah,
I mean, we're currently living in a time where the government's admitting to aliens. It's not even like, that's not even newsworthy. Honestly, I think for some of the things that I wanted to go over,
are they legal or illegal aliens?
both actually,
Cool.
which
All
is
right.
weird because the illegal aliens are way more on the news than the legal aliens. I don't even know what a legal alien. I'll get back to you on that one. I want to talk about getting outside the comfort zone, and trying to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I really want to talk about this notion of going back and talking to a younger version of yourself. I think some of the advice I would give and some of the advice that you would give would be, I think, incredibly interesting.
I can do it like 2 cents. Go to work, invest your money.
Yeah.
Apple.
That's really what it comes down to, is like, you're like, what stock would I tell me?
Oh, man, we really got to cut this off, and I'm not I'm gonna, you can continue your thing real quick, but I'm throwing this in here for that conversation so we both know of it.
Mhm.
You got me now thinking about the freaking Back to the Future series when he brings back the sports almanac.
Yeah,
That was
that was the go-to.
yeah, but that was a bad move. You should have gone back and tell him to invest in Apple.
Yeah.
What the hell was he thinking?
Oh, I know. There's so many things.
Disney, Apple, Microsoft, something. Who's
Amazon? That's a no-brainer. That
because
just prints cash.
What was it, 2018 or 2019, 2020, whatever the future
2020.
was?
Yep.
Yeah, 2020. So
yeah.
the hell
I know.
with betting on freaking the Braves or whoever was in that almanac that was supposedly going to win but didn't really win. Maybe it was the Bears. I don't know. Stocks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Sorry.
Yeah, no, the more time I spend thinking about the things I want to talk about, the more I find myself talking about completely other things. And I think we enjoy that far more. I also really want to try to get one of our guest friends on the schedule. We've talked about doing that, and trying to make that happen. Yeah.
I'm thinking about the other one, the one that just did a half marathon.
I know. I was thinking about that too.
So really quick. Again, I'm sorry, and I'm the one that's actually pushing to get off this thing.
It's good.
Out, right?
You're
yeah, I know. I'm extending it on myself. I'm visualizing my wife at the top of the stairs up at hands on the hips and everything. But anyways, so he was telling me today that it was raining the whole time when he was doing the half marathon, and I wrote back to him. I said, "Just think of those as little droplets of motivation." And I told him I'd mention that tonight, so I had to mention it.
Well played.
Yeah, so every little raindrop was a little drop of motivation falling on his head, because I guess it bothered him. I was thinking to myself, man, I kind of wish it was sprinkling the whole time I was running, especially if I was doing a half marathon. But I guess he didn't enjoy that.
No, I did a half. It was not raining, and I didn't enjoy that either. So I feel his pain.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
raining when he was doing
Yeah, I think that's worse.
it. Is it?
Yep.
Oh,
I really do.
okay.
Yeah.
So guests talking to ourselves. You got some good ones there.
I have lots. Yeah, and I have lots more. But
Maybe we can record guests talking to themselves.
we should we should get 2 guests and then just put them together and not say a word. See what happens.
Maybe we can get Jack Haney. That was his name, right? SNL.
Is that the?
Deep Thoughts.
Yeah, it was definitely
With
Jack
Jack.
Handy.
Handy or Haney? I don't know.
Hmm.
Deep Thoughts by Jack Haney.
Those were great.
Yeah.
Man, I miss old school SNL sketches.
That could be a whole nother episode. We could
Yeah.
find some of those and,
Yeah.
and read them.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they'd still be funny.
Okay, 2 other things I want. So musical, we rarely ever talk about music, and you and I are so musically driven that it's astonishing we've made it this far without going countless hours on music. And I really want to know what your current and past influences are, specifically to just what are you listening to for podcasts, audiobooks, current music genres, all those things. I think I find incredibly interesting, because you will find people answer things. It just seems to me that I ask somebody some random thing and they answer like, "Whoa, did not see that coming."
There are very few people out there that know what my music tastes have been through my teen years up through now. I don't think anybody knows what the full repertoire is.
Yeah,
So I'd be happy to talk about it. It'd probably be kind of a little fun.
I think it'd be fun.
It'd definitely be voyeuristic on that one, because in some of that's kind of embarrassing. You know what I mean? I'll go
Yep.
there. I don't
Yep.
care. I'll go there. Whatever.
yeah.
I'll say one thing. None of it's country. Actually, you know what? I can't say that. Aha. I may or may not have had somebody in my past that actually sang country in my family. So
All right. On that note, that was fun.
awesome. Yeah. Thanks for everybody out there listening. And yeah, it's another one, right?
Yeah, that's another one.
Boom.
Hey, we got that half-hour episode down to an hour.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Syntax Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. For more information, check us out at www.syntaxpod.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the show. And as always, we appreciate a like and a share. We'll see you next time.